Good morning, Jerris.
Hey, Tony.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing fantastic.
I didn't expect anything less.
Um, Are you fine with just doing kind of group discussion, or do you want to break up into groups like we did on our
No, group discussion is perfectly fine.
breaking up into small groups? Okay. Oh, big
Yeah,
group.
but big group, yeah, because we normally have between 30 to 50 or 60 people on the call.
Sweet.
So, yeah, I think, and I'll make you the host, or I'll give you a screen sharing options.
Cool. In 30 minutes, 8 o'clock or
8:30 to 9. Yes, sir.
Okay. Awesome.
And yeah, it's yeah, we got 16 people on already, and it's growing quickly. So
Sweet. Are these all folks in a market center or
correct? These are all folks in our market center.
okay?
We have roughly 400 agents in the market center.
Okay.
Seeing some people rolling in here, which is great. Not as okay. And I want to make sure I'm giving you yeah, you should be able to you should be able to share your screen.
Give me practice real quick.
Yeah, sure. Let's make sure it's working.
No, host disabled, participant screen sharing.
Got it. Okay. Got it.
There we are.
Okay, now you should be good.
Yep.
I
See it?
would, yeah, I can see it.
Awesome.
Perfect. Awesome, man. Thank you. So it's you're in where are you at again? Remind me.
That's good. Champaign, Illinois.
That's right. That's right. Okay. It's a beautiful day out here. So
Yeah, we woke up to a little bit of a cold front this morning, which is awesome, but no big deal.
it means it's coming my way.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right. So we are at 8:31. So I'm going to get us, we get 26 people in. And yep, Diane's Keene office. We have an office in Keene, New Hampshire, so western part of the state,
Okay.
Concord, New Hampshire, which is north of where we are here in Bedford, and then our office here in Bedford.
Okay, cool.
We didn't forget about you, Diana. Don't worry. All right. So I'm going to get going and give you a little introduction, Jerris, and then I'm going to let you roll with it. So welcome, everybody. Happy Thursday. We have another special guest. Jerris Duncan is a business maps coach, and we work together with business maps and Abe Shreve and Charlotte Savoy. Jerris did a presentation probably 3-4 weeks ago on our company-wide call, and I loved it. Everybody loved it. It was just really great information presented in a way that I'd never seen it. And so I called Jerris up and said, would you be kind enough to join us? And he's here. So I really appreciate that. I'm going to put the spotlight on you, and I'm going to let you do your thing. So let me go here. There you go, man. Ready to rock and roll? So it's all you, sir.
Fantastic. Let me change my view here so I can see everybody. Okay. So if it's possible to come off of your mute, or not off mute, but at least video where I can see faces, if that's possible, that'd be awesome. If not, I understand. So like Tony said, Jerris Duncan, and I'm in Champaign, Illinois. This is normally my coffee and thinking times, so I'm getting everything kind of wound up here this morning. I am a business maps coach, and I also license material from a company called Giant Worldwide. And what I'm going to share with you today is actually material from Giant that I've used for about 7 years to help me in understanding what it's like to be in relationship with people. And so we're going to jump right in because it's a pretty quick window here. I'm going to train for maybe 10 to 12, maybe 15 minutes. And then the second half, we'll have open discussion for as long as that goes. Is that all good? Thumbs up, everybody? Okay, awesome. I'm glad to be here, by the way. Thanks, Tony. Thank you, Tony, for the invite. Let me share my screen here. Okay, so there's a reality for us that we are all in the business of influence. Can we agree to that? We are working every day in some way to gain influence with others. And what I found in doing business development and business coaching, and really a focus on human development and human behavior, is that too many of us are accidental in our approach to gaining influence. Whether that be how we actually influence ourselves. If you look at this model, this circles of influence, if our family, our close friends, the team we're on, the organization we're part of, or the community that we live in. And the difference between accidental and intentional is pretty simple. It's not a trick thing here. Accidental means we're basically waking up and doing it new every day or making it up new every time. Versus intentional means we have strategies and we have models and we have mental models and mindsets that we're following for how we move into intentional influence with the people in our lives. And so I'm going to show you something today, like Tony said. It's nothing new or revolutionary. It might just be framed in a way that I hope will help some of you understand the difference between accidental and intentional when it comes to gaining influence. So here's the model. It's called the influence model. And when you and I meet someone, whether it's a potential client or my favorite, when someone says to me, hey, Jerris, I got this friend, Tony, and you need to meet him. Y'all are going to be, I think you guys will be great friends. Okay, the first thing that we have to realize is or accept is this is either going to be a transactional moment for me, or is it actually going to move into relationship where we have impact on each other's lives? When you're doing business with someone, several of you are probably like my wife, by the way. I'm not in Keller Williams. I probably should have said that. I'm associated via my wife, who owns a team here in Champaign. So, but you guys, every day when you're meeting people, what's either going to happen in that relationship is a one-off transaction, or you're going to move into a relationship with them where that relationship becomes multiple transactions over a lifetime of business. And some of us are really good at this, and some of us find ourselves struggling, and hopefully today it might help. So when you meet someone, you're sitting in the room at a table and you have no clue, and you have no cues given to you, or no relationship. By default, you and I will lead in one or two ways. We'll lead in a way that's most natural to us. For some of us in the room, we're really good at character and chemistry, right? And I'm going to give a definition of these in just a minute. We're really good at finding a way to connect with somebody. For some of us in the room, we're really good at competency and credibility. We know all the numbers, we know all the data, we know all the metrics, we have a plan, we have a process. And by nature, when it comes to meeting another human, we will default generally to our most natural speak. So for example, I'm a character chemistry guy all day long. And I often mistake relationship, or even I've lost some deals in business coaching because we sat down and talked for 10, 15 minutes and we found, a football team that we connected over, or somewhere we'd both traveled, or we actually had family in common, or we both believe in Bigfoot, those, whatever it is, we found something and we connected. And because in my mind, we've connected and they like me, then I have the deal, and I never hear from them again, because I can get stuck in character and chemistry and let that be enough. And then I miss them completely. My wife, on the other hand, is a competency credibility person. She walks into a room and there's very little data she doesn't know. There's very little what's going on in the market that she doesn't know, how she's going to sell your home that she doesn't know. And one of the things that she's had to work on is actually not just showing up and overwhelming people with her knowledge, but moving backwards and making sure she connects with their humanity. So let me give some definitions to this, because what I know is that if we just stick with what we know naturally, we will more often than not find ourselves in transactional relationships. One-time meetings, one-time deals, one-time interactions. And this is not just in business. Like I said, when I shared the illustration about someone wanting to introduce me to Tony because we're going to be good friends, the same thing happens when we're meeting people that it's not work related, just family, when it comes to community people or friends or people on the team that we're not necessarily doing business with, we're just trying to have influence with. So here's the questions that people are asking, okay, when we're trying to build trust versus transaction. So character. I want you to think through as I read through these, where do you most naturally fall? What's your kind of default wheelhouse place when it comes to interacting with humans? Character. What they're asking is, do I trust you? Are you a person of integrity? Right. And so you can get there. Some of us can get there pretty quick. Right. And some of us, it feels like it takes a longer to get to character with people. Chemistry, and these two go together. Do I like you? Do I connect with you? Do I enjoy spending time with you? This is where I lead. Chemistry is that's just naturally there. If we were all to come off mute and you gave me 3 minutes, somebody in the room I'd find chemistry with over something. We would connect over something, and I would think we were best friends for life. I'd probably hit you up on all your social media platforms and wonder why you didn't respond, because we talked about something that we enjoyed together, right? Then it gets a little more into the next two, into competency. So this is what people are really asking is, are you competent? Are you confident in the way you communicate? your competence? Do you have a proven track record of success? And for many of you, this is probably a wheelhouse area, right? Let me tell you here's what I've done historically. And I can do the same thing for you. This could be a default to go to if we're not careful, and we can miss building trust and being liked and go straight to proving our competence. And then credibility. Are you able to take your competence, understand the complexity of my reality, and design a bespoke solution that helps me achieve my goals? This was put together by our office by the giant office in London. And so it should read, understand the complexity of my reality and design a custom solution that helps achieve my goals, right? Those are the 4 that we will all naturally lead with by default. You lead with one of these, or you will, if this is where you'll go naturally. So just, I can see a few people here, quick show, anybody already realizing, just quick show of hands. Yeah, I have a tendency maybe to get stuck on one of those. Anyone other than me? Yeah. And it doesn't guarantee, right, that if you can get into all 4 of them, it's going to be an awesome relationship, but you create the opportunity for influence and relationship when you understand that these 4, right? I'm going to go to here. These are a sequential filters to help you unlock influence with other people, right? And so here's what it looks like all put together. There's you, and there's whoever it is the other person is you're meeting with, right? And you lead, and if you get through character and chemistry and you add competency and credibility, or you lead with competency and credibility and you add character and chemistry, you create the opportunity for trust versus hitting this wall of self-preservation and it becoming just a transaction. We have to bring the walls down by character, chemistry, competency, and credibility. Bring the walls down to actually move into relationship with people and have influence and impact that makes this a reoccurring opportunity for us to have impact in their lives and then to have impact in our lives. So a couple people, just before I move too much more forward, come off mute. These walls of self-preservation. Let's start here. Let's start with, you got a sign call and you're in someone's house or they're in your office, you've never met them before, and you're starting the conversation. What might be some of their self-preservation talk that they're telling themselves as you sit there? No trick questions here. Just
my guess is they're not going to be honest, or they're not going to be forthcoming with all the information. They're going to be very guarded.
Yeah. Are they wondering, what is this guy trying to get from me?
Yeah. Well, they're going to, yes, those are great. Anything else?
Wondering if you're worried about what's in it for you as opposed to what's in it for them.
Right. Are you self-serving or others serving? Right.
Exactly.
Are you trying to make another deal happen, or do you actually want what's best for this person? Yeah. Let me ask you this question, because we don't often think of it from this side. When you sit down in that space, what are some of your own walls of self-preservation that have to come down? What are you sitting there where you realize, that they have to come down? Anyone ever sat down and thought, what if I don't like this person? I know it's simple, but it's a wall.
Yeah.
And if you don't bring it down, they will feel it. What if I think that, like you said, they're not telling the truth and they can't finance this deal? And then I'm going to waste all my time, even an hour. If you don't bring that wall, if you don't acknowledge your own self-preservation in the way that I'll use the word judge or sum up other people very quickly, and you don't bring that wall down on your side, they will feel it. And this will be a one-time transaction for you if you even get the deal. So we talk a lot in business maps that there's an art and a science, right, to relationship and to coaching. This is a science model, right? This is just, it works. But bringing down the walls of preservation is an art form, and it has to be done with each person a little differently, depending on how they're wired. And you guys are all good at mirror and match and all those things that you've learned in all your sales, training over the years. And yet if you mirror and match and you just stay in competency and you never build to chemistry, you might still end up with the transaction. And then a big mistake I make, let's say you have one meeting, okay, and the walls come down, you're connecting, you're sharing information, you think everything's going great. So you set up a follow-up meeting where they got to go, maybe they've got to go home and just check get permission from someone, or they've got to talk to someone, and you're going to follow up in a couple of days and make this deal final. And you walk in and you're in the room and you jump in like you're right back where you started. So in between connection, the walls will go back up. And one of the mistakes you can make is to just plow back through the wall and assume you're right back in this relationship influence space, because they've had time now and you've had time. And so every time you interact with someone, the first thing you have to think of is, I need to see where the walls are, how high they are, and can I bring them down? And I'm going to do that by talking to them, either building character, building chemistry, showing my competency, showing my credibility to bring them down. It'll get easier every time. But I've made that mistake. I've made the mistake with people of even people I coach. So we coach every week for 30 minutes, right? And it takes a good, I don't know, I'm going to say 6 weeks to really get into a rhythm, right? And I've made the mistake in week 2 or 3 of jumping over that wall. Like, these people love me and they know everything, and they trust me, and they're 100% for me. And people, you can just feel it or see it when you're with folks, and they're like freaking out a little bit because you jump the wall. And so I think of this every time I start a coaching call is, how do I bring down the walls? Right. So that's kind of the training on this. And what I want you to do is we're going to all come off mute and start sharing. First of all, I want you to talk about which one of these do you naturally lead with? That's a starting place. And what's that teaching you about yourself this morning? Number 2, just some ahas from just seeing this very simple model laid out this way. What are some insights that you're gaining for yourself this morning?
For me, Jerry, I'll jump in, is and this is what resonated with me when I saw this the first time is I definitely lead with character and chemistry. Mm-hmm. And I can think of a particular situation where I was referred to a client that was coming to New Hampshire. They're relocating, and man, we connected on every level possible. Their kids play soccer. I coach soccer. Their husband's going to work at UNH. I help coaches UNH buy homes. I related. And I never got into competency and credibility. Mm-hmm. She went with another agent.
Yeah.
And actually I asked for an email to say, hey, what can I do to earn your business? And that's exactly what she said. She said, hey, love talking to you. It was great, but you didn't talk about what we needed or what you could do for us. So I stayed in that character and chemistry.
Yeah, because it feels good, right, Tony? You feel like, wow, we might hang out after this deal. We might be friends. Right?
It was a done deal. 100%. Yeah. And I was wrong. Mary Hope, I see your hands up. Fire away. And you don't have to put hands up, guys. If you've got something to say, jump in.
Diane's before me.
Okay. Oh, I didn't see Diane's hand. Oh, there it is. I'm sorry. Diane, fire away. Nope.
That was left over from raising my hand if I could relate. And then
gotcha. Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, my bad.
Thank
Mary
you.
Hope, you're up. And then Bobby.
So my aha or kind of click is figuring out what your client or whoever you're meeting with comes with. So great if they're coming from character and chemistry, boom, that's an easy one, right? And I'm a character chemistry, the connection. But then also, because I've been in the business a long time, sometimes I presume they also need the competency and credibility, and I forget, and I go in there with my numbers and get ready. So I think maybe my question for you is, how do we walk in there, or if there's signs to be able to say, okay, I need to lead with my chemistry, or do I need to lead with competency? to break down that barrier? Because I think that's part of breaking down that wall, if I'm correct,
Yes.
figuring out the other person.
And great question. That is the art of relationship, right? That's the art of this process. I like to lead with questions and hear how they respond. Again, I'm not in your world, but when I'm meeting someone new, if I ask somebody, tell me about yourself, or tell me about your home, right? Tell me why, and they immediately start telling you about all the people that have lived there, who they raised there, the stories of the parties they've had there and the celebrations. Well, you can pretty much go toward character and chemistry, right? You can pretty much discern that. If you say, tell me about your home and why you're selling it, and they start telling you, well, the people across the street have 200 square feet less than us, and we've updated, and and we've got this, and this, and I believe our house is worth $10 more a square. You probably would want to lead with competency and credibility. It's just listening to the person,
Right.
which means we have to, active listening is the key to any relationship succeeding. But for this particularly, active listening tells you where to start, probably.
Right.
And then but you also want to get to the others, right? You've got to get to, do they like you? Do they trust you? So.
Yep.
And the question of what are you looking for in an agent? What's
Yeah.
important to you in this transaction is going to tell you so much.
Yep. I love that question.
Yeah. Bobby guy that's got her hand up, fire away.
Yeah, and I think we talk about this a lot on Morning Mindset and about the concept of being interested as opposed to being interesting. And I know that it's very important to connect with people. As a matter of fact, I grew up right next to Champaign at Rantoul.
Yay.
That would be my my go-to all the time, is trying to figure out, all right, how do I connect with these people? And I've really had to work very cognizantly about stop doing that. So even if I find that there's some sort of a connection, my job is to really dig deep and to figure out what their needs are, so that trust comes first. We want people to think this individual is not just a used car salesperson. They really do care about me and my needs, and and I think it just takes work.
Yeah. Yeah. Bobby, was your family Air Force?
Chinook. Yep.
Yep. All right.
Yep.
It's fantastic.
Who else has got something they'd like to share with us? Hop on. We have 42 people here.
Hey, Tony, it's Lisa.
Oh, Lisa and then Ken. Great. Fire away, Lisa.
It makes me think about something that I have had the intention to do with my business and have never followed through with, is that the pre-listing packet could really help you bring the competency if you're going to be someone who leads with all your personality first. So if you were to get that into people's hands, and that was the most important stuff, it might help you balance and anchor your conversation.
I like that.
Love it.
Yeah. Ken Tassi.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for being here, Jerris.
Yeah. Thanks.
When I look at the four C's, I would say that my weak suit is competency, right? Because I've got to force myself to go in and look at data and collect, data that would be helpful in talking to somebody that's might be like an engineer type personality. So I think I really resonate with what you said about we default to what we're good at and what is enjoyable for us, I guess.
Yeah.
And which is for me character and chemistry. So I think that I think we just have to be prepared, right? So you've got to have the tools in your toolbox for all four of these areas, so that you're not maybe subconsciously avoiding certain types of people.
Yeah.
Because if I look at somebody and I make a judgment based on the like a 5-minute conversation, I go like, oh, this guy's going to ask me about the market. I'm like, I'm screwed. Then I might sort of like move away from that relationship just out of fear.
Yeah. True. So Ken, I would encourage you. You've got all these people here in your world. Get together with somebody. I do this with one of our other coaches, 30 minutes a week, and mastermind and role play competency stuff. Let them be the engineer. and challenge you like that and learn from what, instead of you digging all the information out, you guys share information like no company I know, learn from one another and, let other people help you in the areas where you might not be your natural wheelhouse. Yeah. Love it.
Good stuff. Got about 5 minutes, guys.
Yep. I got one more
Jump on in.
slide, but it's
Please.
a freebie. It's a bonus, but
Okay. Oh, Diane's got her hand up. Fire
yeah.
away.
Go ahead, Diane.
Well, so I feel like this is, we've learned how to diagnose a lot. We learned what the DISC is. We learned what each character trait is or natural behavior is. But this feels like a really simple, clear prescription
Yeah.
for the diagnosis.
Yeah.
To remind us to just keep going to where they are rather than trying to bring them to where we are. I think it's great. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, Diane. It's awesome. So I'm going to give you, this is anyone else before I move to the final thing. Thank you. Great conversation, great insights. This is simple. One of the things I love about Giant is that their whole concept with visuals is that we learn visually, and that so many people in the modern world we're visuals where we lock things in, and your models should be easy enough for an educated 13-year-old to understand, because the world makes everything else way too complex. So this is something you could, draw it on a napkin. Tony has access to this. He's got a PDF he can pass around, because you've been in my training, so to speak, here, right? Yeah, this is a training, and it's yours to use however you choose. So this is something to chew on. Maybe one or two people will share. Often we find ourselves when our walls are up. We need a process. We need some questions. And we found 3 questions when our walls are up, whether it's a family person, whether it's a closer relationship, or whether it's someone in those inner spheres, and we don't know how to bring them down. We're stuck. I'm going to give you 3 questions. And what I want you to do is, when I pop this up, is just which question stands off the page, not all 3 of them. Which one just really, you're like, yeah, I find myself doing this. This is probably something I need to work on. So when your wall is up and you can't get it down, if you ask yourself these 3 questions: what am I afraid of losing? What am I trying to hide? Or what am I trying to prove, and to whom? I promise you'll figure out what it is that'll bring your wall down. So let me give you a couple of examples, and we have enough time. Somebody else, if you just could share. I am constantly, I'm 55 years old, right? I did nonprofit work for 35 years. I've been in the business world for 7 years, and a little bit of overlap. I am constantly trying to hide when I'm in a room with people that I perceive that are smart and educated. I try to hide that I have this deep sense that I don't belong. And I've had this, I actually finished in the bottom 10% of my high school class of 400. I had no clue why everyone was all excited about their rank and what that meant, because after graduation, I had a job with a surveyor, and a machete was going in my hand to clear paths for the surveyor in Northwest Arkansas. I had no understanding of all that. I set out for a couple of years before I decided to go to college, and I got in because they have to let a few people who make 9s on their ACT in as I took the ACT because I had to. I'm constantly trying to hide that. I've learned to embrace it because it's not who I am, it's who I was. And yet I feel like if people find that out about me, it'll discredit me. And it's a weird thing that I'm constantly battling to hide, that don't ask me questions about my education and we'll be okay. Kind of like Ken, don't ask me about the market and we'll be just fine. So a couple people in our last minute, which was one of these standoff that you find yourself doing consistently?
Well, Jerris, I just want to jump in. You said something that is so valuable to me in my life. It's not who I am, it's who I was. And I've gotten stuck so much of my life in trying to repair the image of who I was. And I'm not that person anymore.
Yeah. Love it. Yeah.
Yeah, that was powerful to me too. I really, really like that. Got time for one more. Go ahead.
These are like really powerful questions. And in a different context, these are like questions that your enemy would ask you, like, what are you afraid of? Like, what are you trying to prove? So they're tough to look at just at face value, but if you're asking yourself these questions, this is like really, really good stuff. So I appreciate this because these are the questions I've got to ask myself. You know?
Yes.
Love it.
Right.
We got Linda's hand up and then we got to run. So take us home, Linda.
Okay, so this is part psychology, which I'm not a psychologist, but I love studying this stuff. So I think what you were referring to earlier is what we all have what's called schemas, and schemas are things that formed kind of insecurities or a dialogue that's not real, and it was based on our life traumas. So I think when we feel, everyone can kind of look it up, their schemas. When we feel one of our schemas coming up, it's almost like if you envision a computer screen, how you can take that little minimizer button. It's taking the maximizer button and blowing up that screen with something that's not real. It's something that we've kind of created over time due to some life difficulties.
Wow.
Love that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hey guys, hey, it is 9:02. Jerris, thank you, my friend. It was great.
Oh, thank
I
you
really
all. So great to
appreciate-
be here.
Appreciate you coming on, man. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. You guys have an amazing
very much.
Thursday.